Okay, can everybody see me? Can you hear me? How we doing here today? I believe that we are live here in Manchester. Feeling a bit under the weather today. Things are feeling a bit weird for me. Got a bit of a fuzzy head, and hope that you guys can see and hear me okay. I'm just going to make sure everything's working. If you can let me know if you can hear me, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know where you're watching from, and I will answer your questions today. We'll review a few links that people have sent me, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So let me see, who've we got here watching today? All right, Matt is watching. We've got 6 people on board here. Here in Maryland, says Matt Rudden. Nice to have you, Matt. Hope you're feeling better than I am. And who else have we got here? Dublin on board. Adrian's from Dublin. Nice. We got 9 people watching, and some of you are staying awful quiet. And I want to hear from you. So I'll give you an update what's happening here. So it's 1st of November today. Bulgaria. Martin from Bulgaria's here. Kathleen from NYC. We are Stephanie from Florida. Nice to see you here. Maria from Spain. Alan from the Philippines. Great. So it's a really nice day here today in sunny Cheshire in the UK. Very nice weather. And yeah, I'm going to take this off, I think. It's too silly. It's too silly. Ugh. Now you can make the joke of put it back on, please, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's really nice here today. 1st of November, so October is finished, and October was actually good for me. It started horribly, and it finished off great numbers-wise. From merch specifically, it's actually my third best month on merch ever, which is great. Which is better than I was expecting at the start of the month. It was really slow start, October, but we got there in the end. It kind of picked up traction. It's gone a bit quieter the past few days, but still promising, I would say, for what we as we get into quarter 4. So today I've got a couple of links people want me to review. One, I believe, is Martin, who wants me to look at his designs on merch. And then I can't remember who else it was, posted the Shopify store to have a quick look over, which I've done. So I'll have a few comments on those both, and then I'll take questions. So let me just post the link here so that people can find the live video easily. I'm a little bit snuffly today, so please forgive that if I sneeze or have to, go off camera for a second. But let me post the link here so people can find it. And Robert had a link he wanted me to look at. So I think I'll do Martin's... Did I say Martin? Was that right? Martin first. Yeah, I think we'll get into it. Why not? We've got 20 people watching. That's good enough for me. So this is Martin's Merch by Amazon account. So there's 25 results here. So I'm assuming, Martin, that you are in the 25 tier. So on the 25 tier, you've filled up all your slots, which is obviously good practice. You have asked me just to take a look over. Let me just find what you actually said so I can make sure that I'm giving you all the relevant help that I can. I'm not just kind of, brushing over this. So Martin said, I've been in merch for 1 month after 1 year of waiting. That's a long time to wait, isn't it? 25 tier, 20 organic sales, only 25 designs and mostly graphics, but hey, I am a micro stock illustrator. Just figuring out what's good for t-shirt designs, and I'll be glad to get your advice, Michael. Well, thank you, Martin. That is a great summary for us. So you've been in for 1 month and you've sold 20 organically, which I think is really good. If we take a look at Martin's stuff, you'll see why he's been able to get sales. He produces really nice work. Now, I'm not saying that everything here is like great and perfect, but certainly design-wise, you only need to take a scan over to see that Martin is a very good illustrator, and that the designs he creates work well on t-shirts. I don't know if you've created all of these with t-shirts in mind, but certainly some of them really look like you've designed them for t-shirts, and even those that don't look like they've been designed as t-shirts, you can tell the quality of the design work, and I think that's going to serve you well, Martin. I think that the skills you've got are very good, and if you whether you want to just pursue creating your own designs and selling on merch or other print-on-demand platforms, or doing commissioned work for other people, I think you won't struggle, because you've got a really nice, clean, crisp style, and it works well. So the first thing I noticed was obviously, so you've got 25 designs up, and you've sold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you said you sold 20 across these 5 designs, is what... unless there's something wrong with my BSR plugin, that means that you've sold 20 individual sales across 5 different designs, which is great, considering you've only got 25 up, I think. So you've sold 2 of the designs. This is just one thing that popped out initially, was that 2 of the designs that have sold are Spartan designs, and they're quite similar designs, but both of those, 2 of those have sold in a very similar thing, in a very similar niche or whatever, very similar market, I would imagine. So the first thing I would say, just to give you a little bit of advice, would be why not do some more of this? Because this, if you had 25 designs and one of them had sold, then it's going to be hard to make, really draw many conclusions from that. And similarly, if you had 25 designs and you'd sold, and every one of them had sold even once, then it's going to be hard to kind of make a conclusion. Now, you are spread across quite a number of different niches and markets, but these 2 are the ones that have sold. 2 of your Spartan ones, and they're the only 2, I think, that are even related to that across here, they've both sold. One of them seems to be selling better than the other one, but still... that would indicate to me that you've been able to tap into a market somehow that maybe others aren't for some reason. Maybe it's not. I've not done any research in the niche, but just off that information alone, you've been able to sell something. So my advice is do more of that is selling. So what I would do is I'd be tempted if you've been doing it for a month and all these designs have been up for a month, then I would take out some of the ones that aren't selling, and I would replace them with some variations on these designs, some other similar Spartan designs, or if you've got other similar Spartan designs or some kind of upgrades or variations you can do to these, I would do that just off the bat, because, look, you've sold some Spartan t-shirts. You might not know how, maybe you do know how, but I'm assuming you don't, and you've sold them on merch. Ideally and hopefully you've sold them organically, so you've not done any advertising, you've not told anyone to buy them. So the source of the sale came from organic. And that would say to me that you've got something, and there's perhaps a market there that you can, do more of and tap into more. So I would just give you that bit of advice, because those 2 have sold, and that's good news. That gives you something. You're not just kind of stabbing in the dark anymore. You've actually tapped a little niche for the first time, and maybe you can go a bit deeper on that, and I'll have a few little comments on this as well. So if we do look at one of your listings, so this is I won't go through all of your listings, of course, but the design is nice. Probably I would say ironically, this is just my opinion, so obviously this is gonna be wrong, but of these 2 designs, I really prefer the second Spartan one. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but the second one is a little, it fits the t-shirt area a bit better than the first, but what do I know? The first one is selling better than the second one, so there you go. But if you have a look at this one, so this is the design I prefer, but again, that's just kind of personal preference, that's all that is. So design is nice and neat. It's 2 colors, it's simple, it works as a t-shirt. Here's where I think your first problem, and this is something that is a problem across all your listings, Martin, is that you've gone for a totally dead simple title, and there's nothing wrong with this title, but I think you can be more expressive, and you can get some more keywords in there. So for example, I'd be tempted to go with Spartan t-shirt, maybe get some of the related words in there like warrior, ancient, I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but sword, weapon, Spartan, anything that can be related to Spartan. And this is where you're going to have to do some research and try and find what other related words. And to do that, literally, you could just search on Amazon as a starting point, search Spartan shirt, see what comes up, and take some related keywords from there, assuming that they're not, of course, related to any kind of copyrights. That would be an area to be careful about, because I know there's American football teams or whatever that are called the Spartans and things like that. So stay away from that. But there'll be stuff you can do, in other words, you can do to kind of pad out this title and give yourself a bit more, a bit more assistance. And don't just think about describing the content, so the illustration. Think about describing the style as well. I'm not sure quite how you do this. Maybe you could use terms like geometric or I don't know, stencil or something like that, because of the style of the artwork is quite, that way inclined. But that would be my first comment. Like, I think you can do more with your titles. And if we go back and look across your range, this is the case across almost everything. So, Spartan t-shirt, Lumberjack t-shirt, Hong Kong t-shirt, Vietnam t-shirt, Santa Face t-shirt, Dad Santa t-shirt. Some of these... like this one, Dad Santa, so you've got kind of like a funny phrase, a Santa you can believe in, on this design here, but your title is just Dad Santa. Well, I would want to use the phrase, really. I mean, why not? That's kind of helpful there. Kind of like you've done here. So, I am the king of my world, this alien design. You've called this one Alien King of My World t-shirt. That's more I'd like to see, like use a bit more of the title. So like this one here is just called Sailor, like it doesn't say t-shirt. I would always want to get t-shirt in. So just make more of your titles as a first kind of point there. Bullet points and stuff. The Spartans t-shirt is a great outfit or gift for fitness and workout lovers, history nerds, gamers, teams, and everyone who appreciates the warrior spirit that the Spartan mascot represents. Nothing wrong there, but perhaps if anything, I would say you might be overdoing it a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't personally describe it as an outfit. I'm just thinking, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a customer, and I'm thinking like, is there anything here that makes me kind of a bit wary or feel a bit weird as I'm reading this? The t-shirt is a great outfit or gift for fitness and workout lovers. I mean, yeah, but it's at its heart, it's just an illustration of a Spartan. So I wouldn't like. This is kind of something I'm seeing across the board and kind of shifting my mindset on is like when someone comes to find a Spartan t-shirt. We don't know really, and you might not know. We might know in many cases, but in a lot of cases, we just don't know why they want a Spartan t-shirt. It might be that their high school team is called the Spartans. It might be that they really love Spartans and like ancient history or something. And by like projecting certain phrases and niches on top of it, like you've done here, fitness and workout, I might be looking at this and going, I'm like, oh, this is a really cool Spartan t-shirt. I love Spartans and I want a Spartan t-shirt. And then I go and read it and it says, a really great gift for fitness and workout lovers. And then now you've planted the seed in my head. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, hold on, is this like a logo for a fitness brand or something? Or is this some kind of fitness workout thing? I don't want that. I was just looking for a cool image of a Spartan. Now, again, let's take it from the flip side. Let's say if you were like a fitness lover and you were looking for a Spartan t-shirt because of its whatever connection to fitness, if you come here and see that and there's no text here that says fitness and workout, are you still going to buy it? Well, yeah, probably, because you like the design. It's still a Spartan t-shirt. You don't need necessarily to be like pushed over the threshold by someone saying, hey, it's a fitness t-shirt. So on one hand, you could be turning people off, and on the other hand, it's probably not making a huge difference to those that are buying it for that reason in the first place. So my advice would be pull back, like just get out of the way. I think I used this phrase in another Ask Me Anything maybe last week. Get out of the way of the customer. The customer is coming to get a product. If they've got this far, that means they've found your design in the search results and they've clicked on it. So they've got that far. That means they like your design. Don't go and confuse them and put extra like obstacles in the way. Just get out of the way. Just describe the design as simply as you can. Try not to project too much, why they're buying it or anything like that. Just keep it kind of as stripped back as we can. So I would say something like, the Spartan T-shirt is a great T-shirt for. Well, based on what I just said, you could just leave that out. Just say something like Spartan T-shirt features a Spartan warrior with sword and red helmet, cloak, shield, something like that. Keep it as simple as possible. Describe the artwork and get out of the way. Now, obviously, the flip side to everything I just said is, if you don't include certain terms, are you going to rank for those terms? Are you putting yourself at a disadvantage in the search results because you're not including certain relevant words? Could be, but really I would want to know kind of what we're attacking first before I wanted to insert those keywords just to get search rankings in that, if that makes sense. Like, I think a lot of us throw as many keywords and stuff at it as we can in the hope that, randomly someone will search for Spartan fitness shirt and I'll show up where other people won't. Could be the case, could not be the case. I would only do that though, and I'd only feel really comfortable doing that if I was specifically targeting the Spartan fitness niche, whatever that is. Like, I'd want to know that that is a niche, that I'm going after it for that reason, and then I'd want to keep my keywords very focused around that and not go spreading out all over the place, but keep it really fixed on that. So so that's my comments on the bullet points. And the only other thing I would say, Martin, is the brand that you've got. So obviously these are all under your kind of name brand, Malchev, or I think that's how you pronounce it. So I'm kind of, when I look across the brand, I'm seeing like a lot of different niches attacked, and I think that could be hurting you insofar as, there's benefits to having everything under one brand, and those are like Amazon will usually link like related products based on the brand and things like that. But if your brand is spread across many different niches, that means there's a very little benefit to that. You're not really picking up a lot of, benefit because someone came for a Spartan t-shirt and Amazon showed them, hey, this brand also does Hong Kong t-shirts. Well, great, but I'm not interested in a Hong Kong t-shirt. So if there is a way that you can kind of niche down and kind of focus on a particular niche, you are at the 25 tier, so you've not got a lot to lose. I would say I'd be tempted to kind of think, is there a way I can build something of a brand around a certain concept or idea? And maybe, just as simple as calling it like Malchev Spartan t-shirts or Malchev Warrior t-shirts or something like that, just so it creates that brand. It allows you to plug into Amazon and let them help you, and it also kind of helps the customer to know what you're about, because right now if I'm a customer and I do happen to click on your brand, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, it's a guy who designs t-shirts. He designs a lot of different t-shirts. There isn't really a thread running through it, a bit like in the last Ask Me Anything we did, the TeePublic guy, and how he didn't really have like a consistent thread running through everything. And I just think there's a lot of upside to being more brand-based. There's not like heavy amounts of downside to not being, but there's a lot of things you're missing out on if you don't kind of have things under an organized brand that really makes sense. So that would be my advice. Like, try and maybe create a couple of brands. Maybe once you're out of the 25 tier at least, then do something that says, hey, this is my brand, or this is my collection of Spartan t-shirts, or this is my collection of travel t-shirts, Hong Kong, Vietnam, similar designs like that, and try and break it up in that way and do kind of sub-brands. So that's my advice for you, Martin. As I said, you got really nice style like this lumberjack one. You obviously know what you're doing. Your style is good. It works. There's not really much I can say beyond that, really. There's nothing that kind of jumps out design-wise that makes me concerned. Everything just, I think you need more time to kind of get up the tiers. I think you could really focus on finding niches that work for you. And I think there's room for you to grow, and because of the skills you've got as a designer, I think you shouldn't struggle to do so. And if anyone, if you are available for like commission designs and stuff like that, I think you'd be quite popular. You might find you get some messages after this as a result of the quality of your work. So I hope that helps you, Martin, and I'll leave that there. I'll just take a couple of questions here that are coming in based off the back of what I've said, I guess. So Ree asks, regarding brand, how do you feel about putting keyword by brand name? Yeah, Ree, I think that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. So in that example, it might be something like Spartan by Malchev or something like that. Spartan shirts by Malchev or something. Yeah, I think there's a benefit to doing that. I think I would probably want to have like a solid brand. That's kind of like an umbrella band. Like Malchev would be your umbrella, and then you've got these different sub niches that you're doing underneath it. So, I don't have a problem with that, Ray. I don't think there's much of a problem with that. It does allow you also to get a kind of keyword in your brand, which can help, as we know with kind of search results and stuff. But even that is still not like, life or death. Like if you don't have a keyword in your brand name, that doesn't mean you can't sell. It doesn't mean you can't be found. It doesn't mean, it's not the end of the world, but it can help. So Kathleen asks, I thought we're supposed to use a different brand name for each tea. Kathleen, that idea kind of developed because of the threat of copycats and people kind of finding all your designs, finding a brand that was selling well, then finding all their designs and simply copying them all and maybe underpricing them. So that's really where the kind of idea of of listing under different brand names came from, coupled with the fact that it helps to have probably a keyword in the brand title. So that's where that came from. And I think personally that's going to be a bit old hat. Like copycats is probably less and less of a problem and less a concern, or it should be, hopefully. And the keyword in the brand title can be a benefit, and I would certainly kind of suggest what we just said with Ree, and do maybe something like Spartan Malchev t-shirts or Malchev Spartan t-shirts, or having a brand that you then sub-brand with some kind of niche around that. I think that can really work. Kathleen also just asked, how can you make profit from $11.99 tees? Well, you can't make much profit, but you might want to price low and then raise over time. I'm not recommending that necessarily as a strategy, but Martin does have one at $11.99 here, the Halloween one. Lower price stuff does tend to sell. Amazon is often a kind of commodity kind of marketplace where people are looking for the cheapest of the same thing. They're looking for a Halloween t-shirt that's $11 or a pumpkin face t-shirt that's $11. Or not $11. They're looking for a cheap pumpkin face t-shirt, and if you can price one at $11.99, then you can sell some, and you might get a ranking, but you're not going to make much money. So it depends whether you're looking for the sale or you're looking for the profit. Now, when you're at the lower tiers, you are probably still looking for the sale. You don't care how much you make because you want to get from 10 to 25 to 100 tiers and tier up. And if you are at the higher tiers, you're going to be looking more about how can you make more money. So then you probably don't want to do lower pricing. Personally, I don't do lower pricing. I don't price below like $16, $17.99. Just my strategy. It's more kind of brand based and things like that. So that's kind of how I work. Ken says, what are your thoughts on brand-keyword to break things up? Yep, Ken, exactly what I just said. This is the great Ken Reel, everybody, is in the house, by the way. I was going to actually just drop in, if you didn't listen to, just as you hear, Ken, you've given me an idea. Oh, you've reminded me to remind everyone to listen to the interview you just did with Glenn and Young on Merch Minds podcast. If you didn't listen to this already, let me just post the link, because Ken is really dropping some value there, and people really would want to get a hold of this if you haven't listened to it already. Just posted the link there if you want to listen to that if you haven't already. I listened to that last night and I was like, wow, Ken's just, just giving people so much stuff for free. He's really great. So yes, in answer to your question though, Ken, I think that's a good way to approach it, because you're combining brand with the keyword. You're getting the kind of the benefit and the benefit of being a brand, so allowing Amazon to show your customers related stuff specific to that niche, And especially if you have a brand name that you've trademarked or something, giving yourself a little extra bit of protection and building that kind of brand equity with the customer and stuff over time, I think that's really, really valuable. And especially, I think that's the way to go. I think like the days of merch being like, throw stuff all over the place, cover 100 different niches, go thin and really far, that kind of thing, like thin and wide rather than like shallow and wide rather than like going deep and focused. I think the future is going to be those who are deep and focused. That's around certain niches, that's with brands, that's with building brands and developing those relationships with customers. And that means not just on Amazon. That means, social media, building a brand, having a Facebook page, having an Instagram page, all that stuff is where there's the most upside with merch. I mean, just look at what they're doing. They're reaching out. They've got Coca-Cola on board. They've got Disney. They've got all these guys. Merch wants to work with brands because brands are things that have merch. They're people and companies and things that do merch. That's what merch is, That's what a merch stand is. It's at the back of your gig, for the band. That's what a merch stand is at a comic show or something like that. That's what merch is, and that's where I think things are going. It's brand focus. So you got me waffling there, but I hope that helps. Thank you, Ken, for your question. And for joining in here. And Adrian asks, Martin said I was at the 10 tier when I posted this one. I didn't want to make profit. I wanted to tear up, and it worked. So that's going back to Martin's $11.99 pumpkin face t-shirt. Adrian says, hi, Michael. How do you feel? Do you feel official brand registry will be our best protection against copycats? Or is it still wiser to put your products under multiple brands? Adrian, I think that like copycats, I think they're becoming less of a problem. Maybe that's just me, but what seems to be happening and what's harder to protect against is not direct copycats, not pixel for pixel copiers, but people who are just copying an idea. And we can't do anything about that, really, legitimately, legally. But what you can do is have a brand and have that, thing that's making a big difference. Like, it's a bit, you think about any brand that releases a product. I was just looking today at, there's some kind of toy that came out, or some kind of Christmas toy, Fingerlings or something. It's like a little monkey that sits on your finger. Apparently it's supposed to be like the number one toy this Christmas. That smells to me a lot like a PR exercise. I don't know how much these companies pay to be featured in the hot toy section, in the articles. These are the hot toys for Christmas. Yeah, you just paid for that so that you could be listed as the hot toys, so that you would become a hot toy. But anyway, apparently these fingerling things, I'll get back on topic, these fingerling things are like supposed to be big. I went on Amazon, just had a look, and there's like 3 sponsored listings at the top when I searched for fingerlings, which were unofficial fingerlings. They weren't the official brand or something. They were like knockoff guys selling them for like half cheaper, and they were obviously like a different design and stuff, but the same idea. And that's the difference. Like, are you the kid, do you want to be the kid on a Saturday morning who opens up on Christmas morning, who gets the official fingerlings with the package and everything, or do you want to be the kid who gets the knockoff $15 one? Now, some kids can't tell the difference, and of course, I'm not saying it matters either way, but my point is the power of brand is such that people will be searching fingerlings. They won't be searching funny little monkey that sticks on your finger or something like that. So with that in mind, like, that's why I think it's we should think about brand and that kind of stuff. And copycats can come along and copy your ideas, but those guys who are copying fingerlings, they're not going to make as much money as the real fingerlings guys. They just can't. There's no way, because they don't have the brand. They don't have the brand recognition. And so, copycats are part and parcel, especially when you have big hitters and big spikes and stuff, but they're not going to be, they're not going to be, they shouldn't be, or they can't eat your, eat your fruit, drink your milkshake, if you have a brand that's driving things and is moving your business forward. If people are searching for your brand when they come to Amazon, then you've got them. Nobody else can list under your brand, so you're going to have an ownership there, and you're going to make sales there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And so to answer your question, brand registry, perhaps yes. More like I would go down, and this is what I'm thinking for next year. Decide on a brand name, register the trademark, list everything on Amazon under that brand name. If I want to do sub-niches, then I'll list under my trademark brand name, sub niche, whatever that is, and then that's how I'd do it. So and then that brand is going to be what I'll build. My Shopify store or my Instagram, my Facebook, everything will be around that brand, and I'll just use Amazon to help really, boost that brand up and to do that kind of thing, to kind of move on that, move on opportunities as and when I see them. So multiple brands, it was good last year. I think it's becoming less and less of a thing. It's becoming less and less necessary. The people who produce really good designs may as well be a brand anyway. You might as well, push the boat out and go all in on this thing if you're going to be working at it that hard. Why limit yourself to just merch by Amazon? Get outside of, things. Because if you've got great work, you're going to be the winner in the long term anyway, so why not build a brand around that good work? I mean, I understand why it's hard for us. It's because it's difficult to pick a niche. We don't know what niche to pick, and we feel limited in that sense. Well, don't limit yourself necessarily to a niche. Think more of a market. Think about the novelty t-shirt market. Think about the political novelty t-shirt market. Think about how you can come up with a brand that would work and would allow you to do the things you want to do without having to be, really spread thin across like dog t-shirts over here and then Trump t-shirts over here and then funny slogan t-shirts over here. Like, think brand and think niche and find a way that you can do that. It's going to be different for everyone, of course. Okay, Ken says fatten your niches. Absolutely, like what I just said to Martin, you found a niche there that works. That's like Spartan. Just do your research on it. Find out what's that market like. What else is there? How can you kind of encroach on other spaces and expand that, and then go deep around that Spartan niche and own it? Like, why have 2 Spartan designs? Why not have 5, 10, 11, 100, across lots of kind of different areas and playing on different things? Of course, there's going to be diminishing returns at a certain point. That's why you've got to do your research and find out, where the money is. But I mean, if you've not listened to the podcast anyway, make sure you do that after I finish up here from Ken, because that will really walk you through what he does, and it's really useful stuff. So Adrian says, Ken, real awesome podcast, loved it, especially your tips on dominating a niche and manual BSR checks to estimate what shirts are actually making. Super, yeah, absolutely. That's what Ken's good at. Looking at the detail of how many are we selling, like doing the maths on this stuff, and then letting that inform your decision making. And that's kind of Ken's strategy. It really works for him. He's absolutely, dominating merch, and what he's doing is amazing. So, check it out anyway. And along those lines, I just listened to this podcast yesterday. This was the Freedom Fastlane podcast with, I can't remember the guy's name now. Ryan Moran. So this was a podcast. I think it was at some Amazon seller conference. It's not merch, not anything to do with merch. It's more, if anything, it's focused on like people selling on Amazon, maybe doing FBA or something like that. But really great. He's grown like a few big Amazon businesses, massive, like multi-millions. And I'd really recommend this. Let me give you the link for this one as well, because just great, kind of a lot of what we've kind of been talking about, how to build a business that isn't just an Amazon business, but is supported by Amazon. And I think if you're interested in kind of where I see merch going and stuff, and how to really make the most of merch, then that podcast is really useful and kind of gives you a kind of a plan of how to like grow with Amazon. It's not merch specific, so bear that in mind, but especially all the stuff he talks about, like focusing on your customer rather than your product. All this stuff is like absolutely the way I see things going. So check that out if you haven't listened to it already. Regis said Ryan is great, been a listener for years. Yeah, it's a good podcast. I really starting to get into that, guys. Good style. Okay, there was one other person who wanted me to look at their stuff, and I believe that was Robert, and he has, I believe it's a Shopify store, so this is in his Instagram page. So the store name is Fur and Collar. So I did have a look, Robert. I saw that your first Instagram image was from 2013, so you've been doing this a while, and I mean, that would explain you got like a couple of thousand Facebook followers. I saw, let me pull up your Facebook page. So this is very much a brand. This is a Shopify store. Obviously, I don't know whether you're selling on merch as well, Robert, but it doesn't really matter. So you've got a couple of thousand followers on Instagram and Facebook. I'll just give you like my thoughts just as I go. I've not really jotted down anything here, Robert. I'll just kind of tell you what I think off the top of my head. Seeing this for the first time, which is almost what I'm doing. Your logo, I think, is a missed opportunity, because if I look at kind of the design style of your shirts, obviously they're all this similar kind of approach, which is working well. By the way, your Instagram is really nice. Like, I was just looking through, and usually when people send me stuff to review, their Instagram is like a few mock-ups of t-shirts and maybe a few funny pictures or something. But you've got lots of photos of real people with wearing the actual t-shirt, with dogs and nice graphics, just really nice, like genuine. It just screams out, this is a real business, this is real, these are real people. This is not like a fly-by-night drop shipping store or anything like that. So props on your Instagram feed, which is really nicely done. A nice mix of images and stuff. I just think it really looks genuine. And if you were interested in this kind of thing, if you're looking for like a dog, cute dog brand, then this is the kind of stuff that you'd be like, oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for, and they're genuine and they're real. So props on that. Looking at your logo, I just think it doesn't match the nature of your design. So your designs are this kind of, I don't know what you call it, kind of shabby, like, the font is kind of like rustic and a bit kind of rough around the edges, and your logo is a bit more kind of polished looking. It's kind of the serif font and stuff, and this dog doesn't really match kind of the other kind of dogs you use on your graphics and stuff. So maybe that's my background as a graphic designer and stuff. It just doesn't seem to like sync. So if I were you, I'd update your logo and try and do something that's a little more appropriate and matches the actual designs you produce. So that's just kind of thought number one, the one thing I noticed. I think that just one comment. So I landed on the website here, and I saw the Find Your Breed button, and I clicked it, and it didn't take me to like breeds. It just took me to t-shirts, and I don't know whether that's kind of intentional or whatever, but maybe to me, Find Your Breed would kind of imply that go and pick your breed from a list of breeds, instead of just giving me a list of like the actual t-shirts. And of course, that is kind of the t-shirts are the breeds as well, but just a little UI issue there perhaps. In terms of like the designs and stuff, obviously they're all the same effective design with the silhouette, with the text. So I mean, it seems to be working. You seem to be selling them, so there's nothing wrong there. It works. I do kind of worry perhaps that there might be a bit of kind of too much of the same, and maybe you could do a couple of different approaches to design and maybe some other kind of styles just to broaden it out a bit, and maybe some different colors and stuff, because perhaps this is maybe just me speaking, but I might want it in a different color. I might want a different style, that kind of thing. Just off the top of my head. I couldn't find like too much around like story of your brand really, so I clicked on like About Us and got a little bit. There didn't seem to be like too much about kind of, I don't know, you mentioned something about kind of rescue dogs and helping out rescue dogs and that kind of thing. I'd probably be tempted to make a bigger play on that, like you've done here. Get your rescue on. Sales directly contribute to helping the adoption and rescue of dogs and cats. I'd like to know like how really that works. Like I get it, but I'd like to see like, well, what, is there a percentage of the sale that goes to that? What do you work with, a specific charity or in a specific area? Can you show me some pictures? And just kind of like if I was if I was into this kind of thing, those are kind of just some of the extra pushes signals that would make me go, oh yeah, these guys are genuine. I mean, based off your Instagram, I already feel like you're genuine and stuff. I mean, you can see you've done something here with like you're inside some kind of, brick and mortar store, which is great. Like, just cool, real stuff, a real brand. I think that, I mean, personally, I feel that you're in a very saturated marketplace already, so you need to do something to set yourself apart from the others. Because if we boil it down to the real, what you've got that no one else has, okay, you've got a brand, you've got some followers, you've got some designs. The designs are not that difficult to recreate, so you are, in danger of, being imitated quite easily. So I would want to do some things that are maybe specific to particular niches and particular breeds, maybe some kind of funny sayings you can do around particular breeds. Anything that you can do to make yourself the premier, the brand of this type, I think would be worth looking at doing, because I think you could be, you could just be at risk of just doing one type of design, and that could maybe hurt you. However, if it's working for you and that kind of stuff, I hope it is. I mean, I have no information about how you're getting traffic right now, if you're doing any paid advertising or anything like that. I think there's certainly ways you could do paid advertising and targeted advertising and stuff like that. There's probably plenty of like general dog Instagram accounts. You could probably find specific breed Instagram accounts, Corgi Instagram accounts, Pug Instagram accounts, and go and talk to them and ask about sponsored list, doing a sponsored post on Instagram. And just the other thing I'd say, I don't know how kind of, internet marketing savvy you are, but something I'm really looking at for next year is how I can do kind of a funnel-based approach to my advertising. So instead of doing an advert that is just showing people a t-shirt and is expecting them to kind of then go and buy the t-shirt off the back of that, what I'm going to try and do is more of a free plus shipping kind of offer. You've probably seen them around where someone offers something for free, but you have to pay the shipping. You see people do that with books, but they also do it with t-shirts and jewelry and stuff. What I'm thinking of is doing something, a very small kind of cheap product that's cheap to produce, whether that be like, I don't know if mugs are particularly cheap. I was looking at like stickers or like, like little lapel pins and like badges and that kind of stuff. Even posters and prints, things that you can produce very cheaply and then use that as the first bit of your funnel. So the advert would be driving people to a free plus shipping offer or something like that, or a very low cost product like a sticker set for like a few dollars, $5, and then after that try and sell them the t-shirt or whatever it is. So if you see what I'm thinking there, I'm thinking very much more about the customer and the market than I am about the product. Ultimately, I might want to sell them a t-shirt or a sweater or something and sell that for $25, $29, $30, $35, $40. But to get them to pay that, it's quite hard to like show someone a t-shirt for $25 and then for them to go and buy it. Like, you've really got to have really good stuff. You've got to have really good targeting to do that profitably. Whereas if you show them a funny sticker that's like a few dollars, people are much more inclined to like buy that right there. They don't have to think about it. It's like, oh, it's a funny sticker, it's a few dollars, I'll buy it. Well, now they've bought it, now you've got some information about them, you've got tracking data, you've got their email address, you've got all this stuff. Even as soon as they buy it, you could then flip them and say, hey, would you like to add on the t-shirt? That's going to be an extra $20, or, we give you a discount, It becomes a lot easier then to like make money and do the advertising profitably, if you see what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, then go and look at Russell Brunson. He has Expert Secrets book and .com Secrets. Those are both books you can get for free plus shipping. I think they're like $10 or something. And if you know about kind of that kind of internet marketing game, then you'll already know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, then go and do a bit of research into Russell Brunson. And ClickFunnels is his company. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe you can do something similar with fur and collar. So yeah, there's next to nothing wrong with your website and your designs. I think, in terms of like, I'd need to know like what your goals are for the business, what kind of numbers you're doing now, if you're doing any advertising, all those kind of things to really help you move it forward. But I see no glaring errors. I see no big problems. You've got a little bit of a following, so you've got the beginnings of something. And whether you're selling on Amazon, I think it's very hard to tap into the dog niche, the wider dog niche on Amazon. I think that's quite hard. So I think you have to go really deep and focused to really, do something with dogs I think you'd have to go really specific and like, I'm going right in on the pug niche, and not just pugs, but a very specific subbreed of pugs or whatever it is. And I think that's difficult. It's not an easy thing to do, selling on merch, but probably a lot more opportunities if you're doing some kind of direct advertising and that kind of stuff. So I hope that helps you, Robert. I believe that was Robert with Fur and Collar. Thank you for sharing your link and showing us what you're doing, and I hope that gave you some tips and some advice. So Ree said she loves the logo. He used Cross the Lime on 99 Designs. I've used her as well. Okay, great. Well, I don't know who Cross the Lime is, but you're popular with Ree and Robert. Yeah, I mean, well, obviously it's kind of personal preference. I think the reason I just pull out the logo is because it doesn't really match. I think you could do something that's a bit more kind of gritty, not gritty, but you guys get what I mean? Kind of a bit more rough around the edges kind of logo. Because this one says to me, it looks more like a kind of, I don't know, dog grooming, kind of posh, high-end dog grooming service or something. And you're not that. You're more of a kind of, hey, we love dogs, here's a cute t-shirt for your dog kind of thing. So just my personal opinion based on the branding that I see there. So, okay, guys, we've got about 15 minutes. I'm happy to take some questions. So let me know what you'd like me to comment on or answer any questions about anything at all, merch or Shopify or Instagram or branding or whatever. Happy to take your questions for the next 15 minutes. Okay, what have we got coming in here? Let's see. No questions yet. Anybody want to ask anything? If not, I'll just, I'll close it up and we can come back next week. Hope you had a good Halloween anyway. I had a good one. Question. Best way to learn Instagram from Kate. Best way, Kate, would be to download it and start playing around with it and just kind of follow some people, follow some brands, try and see how other brands are using it. Brands that are perhaps in niches similar to you that you're kind of targeting. Just have a play around. Like, I just follow people and then I, see what happens, and then I see kind of what people are doing on a daily basis and that kind of stuff. There's not... I've never taken like a course in Instagram or anything like that. I just think it's a case of getting personally acquainted with it and kind of playing with it yourself. I don't know what else to say really. I mean, you can certainly take like courses and, cheap courses, Udemy, or look on YouTube and stuff. Instagram, at the basis of it is, you take a photo or you make an image and you upload it to Instagram. People like it and comment on it, and that's it. Like, it's dead basic compared to like Facebook or something. I mean, you can use hashtags to get things spotted and stuff, but the way I've used it has always been as a way to drive traffic to my store and build that community. So it's hand in hand, one thing kind of leads to another. I mean, Instagram does have stories now as well, so those are a way to get in front of people like on a daily basis. Play around, see what other people are doing, try to get to grips with it. If you've got kids or you've got like teenagers around, or friends of kids' friends or whatever, ask them, how do you use Instagram? What do you do with it? How does it work? What do you look for? What what joy are you getting out of it? Why can't you pull your eyeballs away from Instagram for 2 seconds? Explain it to me. You could do something like that. Ask them. Marco says, what is that expansion Chrome you're using on Amazon? Extension, maybe, Marco? Is that what you meant? The only extension I'm using related to Amazon is... I use DS Amazon Quick View. Don't know if you can see that. DS Amazon Quick View. And I use Unicorn Smasher as well, I believe it's called. Unicorn Smasher just does a quick analysis of a search results page that you're on and estimated revenue and stuff based off the back of that. So those are the two Chrome plugins I use. DS Amazon Quick View. DS Amazon Quick View allows you to see the BSR in search results, so that allows me to see that Mal Martin had sold 5 of his designs or whatever, and none of the others, without having to dig into the product listing itself. And Unicorn Smasher allows you to see how many are selling and at what kind of revenue you might be expecting off the back of that and stuff. It's not merch specific, so if you wanted that, you might want to use Merch Informer instead, but those are the 2 I use. Ree says, are you using Pinterest? No. If so, I'm not. How is it working for you? Guess what, Ree? It's not. Yeah, sorry, I've never really cracked Pinterest and never really played with it. Eileen says, Michael, could you repeat Brian Who podcast? Just missed it. So the podcasts I recommended today, one was the Merch Minds one. Merch Minds podcast with Glenn and Young. Ken Reel is on the latest episode there. Then I recommended the Freedom Fastlane podcast with Ryan Moran, I believe his name is, and he just did one recently on how to go from 0 to 10 million on Amazon. And then Russell Brunson, I believe his podcast is called Marketing in Your Car or Marketing Secrets. Russell Brunson podcast. I think it's called Marketing Secrets now, and really good guy. Recommend listening to him and getting all the free information you can out of him. So yeah, hope you got those this time, Eileen. David says, I was going to ask a question with regards to finding designers. Since you're going to cover that in a future lesson, I'm going to divert my question till then. I am waiting for a real estate agent. Okay, David, no problem. And Andre says, what do you recommend to upload on Etsy apart from round neck t-shirts? I mean, what apparel product is a bestseller on Etsy? Well, Andre, we're just coming up to Christmas, so I would go with sweaters and hoodies. Yeah, all day, every day. Sweaters and hoodies. I'm already having people asking me for sweaters and hoodies on Etsy and on Instagram and stuff, so definitely get sweaters and hoodies uploaded onto there. People do buy t-shirts, but probably not, as much as they buy sweaters and hoodies at Christmas. People are probably looking for sweaters. So yeah, sweaters and hoodies is the answer to that one. Okay, I think that's every question answered. I'll just give you guys a couple more seconds to get any more questions in if you want. Otherwise, we'll leave it there for today. Hope your sales are doing well. Mine have dropped off the past couple of days on merch, but I don't know. It's up and down. It's crazy time. You see, Amazon's doing a lot of updates with the back end and stuff, so really interesting. Hopefully, we'll see some exciting changes coming soon with Amazon. They're obviously working hard on stuff. Adrian has a question. Hi, Michael. Have you encountered any problems with Etsy Printful setting up from the EU? Rebank VAT or custom duties? Any sign of a workaround for the geolocation issue so we can be featured in the US primarily? Adrian, I have to be honest, I'm not really in the nuts and bolts of Etsy right now. I have an Etsy store. It makes sales on a daily basis. I have someone else kind of managing that for me and dealing with any customer service issues. So I'm not... honestly, I couldn't even tell you what my Etsy store is making in terms of profit. I know it's profitable, I just don't know kind of how much. I'm just not looking at it on a daily basis. So I do know Printful have recently set up kind of the EU VAT kind of thing, and I've not looked into that. I think that's costing me money, but again, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. So honestly, you're asking the wrong guy right now because I'm not kind of in the nuts and bolts of it. Currently, I would, I've always found Printful to be very easy to talk to. If you submit questions to them, they get back to you quite quickly. Etsy perhaps not so much, but you can certainly try and ask in the group here and see if anyone is able to solve the problems that you're having. I think I list my Etsy store is listed as a US based store, so maybe that's something. If you I don't know whether you based your store in the UK or whatever, but my store is based in the USA. That's where its address is based, and obviously all the products do ship from the USA primarily. So I hope that makes sense, Adrian. I'm sorry I can't really help you much more than that. Just because I'm not using it like on a daily basis, I'm not in the nitty-gritty of it. Okay, guys, I think if there's no more questions, I'll wrap that up there. I was just talking, what was I just saying? I was talking about Amazon are obviously making some changes. to the back end that you've probably seen already. Kind of the upload process has changed slightly. Adrian says no worries. Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate you understanding that. So they did post again the update on the merch dashboard about perhaps they would take products out of search and things like that, perhaps preparing us for like some throttling. And I saw a lot of people kind of frustrated about that, but look, Amazon's got to do what they've got to do. They've got to keep the program running. They obviously have people who make, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars a day for them in revenue just with T-shirts, and they want to keep those guys happy. And, if you've not got a brand, this is why you want to get a brand, because then you're going to probably be looked after a little more by Amazon. If you are a brand, if they feel they can trust you, if you're genuine, they're going to be treating you perhaps a little better than if you're just a guy in his bedroom alone trying to copy T-shirts that are selling and stuff like that. So, I don't really have much time for people kind of moaning about Amazon and the merch team and stuff. I think, we were not made any guarantees. There's no promise that they're going to, ship all your products throughout Christmas and give you prime, real estate on Amazon or anything. I mean, there's Amazon advertising, there's Facebook advertising. There's so many ways you can attack this, and relying just on Amazon and its organic reach is going to become, I think, in the same way with Google and stuff, we've seen this happen before, it's going to become harder and harder as the market gets more saturated and stuff like that. So I hope that doesn't discourage you. What that should do is encourage you, because the opportunities are huge. It's just that so many people are lazy. They want Amazon to do all the work, and I think we really need to, if you've got something of value, you need to be prepared to take this relatively small risk it is now to do some advertising, to do some building of a brand, and push things out there to the marketplace and let them see it and hopefully buy it. And it's going to take a bit of cash, going to take a bit of time, but it's so much easier than it ever was before. And of course, you've got organic Amazon reach that's helping you along the way. So, so I say all that just to say, hey, look, we may be, there may be throttling, there may be, you can't upload on merch and all these kind of things as we get into the peak season, which we're about to head into. It's just kind of rough with the smooth. You just got to roll with it. So I hope you guys, can appreciate that. And any further questions before I finish up? I hope that makes sense. I don't know why I got ranting there, but you guys got me ranting. And so anyway, if there's no further questions, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I will be sending an email out with a link to last week's Ask Me Anything later today. We did have some kind of issues on my website in the past weekend, but I think that's all fixed now. We had some like HTTPS issues and stuff. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you guys for joining me today. We've done just under an hour, so I hope that helped. Hope the kind of, reviewing of stuff helped those who it was intended for. And if you do have any questions, you can post them below. I'll try and get back to you. And keep on churning out those designs. Keep busy. And keep thinking about how you can build your brand, because that's the thing that's going to carry you into 2018 and beyond, I believe. You're going to have to start thinking brand and really stretch your thinking. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Happy Halloween. Happy 1st of November. And I'll catch you guys in the Ask Me Anything next week. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye now.